I think we're at 6:31, so I think we will call the meeting to order. And if you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So our normal next step would be to accept the minutes from the November 2024 workshop meeting. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Any comments? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Amy. Second?
Second?
Thank you, Milporco. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. We have an agenda in front of us. I actually have 3 items that I would like to add to the agenda. One is approving a court audit. We are required each year to do an audit of the expenses and receipts of the court. And Lori Doty CPA has provided us with a proposal for a cost of $1,000 to do the 2025 fiscal year audit, and I would like to propose a motion. I would like to make I'm going to ask for a motion to authorize the mayor to approve the proposal.
Are we adding it to the agenda?
Oh, sorry. I'm jumping ahead. Sorry. I would like to add that to the agenda. The 2 other things I'd like to add to the agenda is a discussion and a resolution regarding a snow removal fee, and also a discussion and resolution on increasing our mattress fee.
Mattress removal fee.
Mattress removal fee, yes, mattress and box spring. Sorry.
Just sounded weird. I'll make a motion to add those to the agenda.
Thank you.
Missing one item.
No, you got it. Yep, sorry.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
What are the fees now? What are they going to be?
That would be part of the discussion.
This is just
Agenda.
agenda.
Yeah, this is just, literally just so that we can have that discussion. Yeah. Any other questions or?
Is this where we would introduce also requests to add things to the agenda?
I was actually going to do these, and then I was going to open it up if anyone else had, because I thought you had. Okay, so for these 3, are you all in favor of adding these to the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, so that's done. Anyone else have anything to add to they'd like to add to the agenda?
Yeah, with your permission, I would love to add a discussion item for us about the issue of homelessness in our village and steps that we are taking to work with the community on addressing those.
I'm happy to add that to the agenda. I'm happy to make that motion. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Great. We will add these items to the end of the general business section.
If you'd like to speak at the public hearing, there's a sign up in the front of the room.
And there are copies of the agenda as well. Okay, with those 4 items added, anyone else have any other agenda items they'd like to add? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to accept the agenda.
Yes, sir.
So
So-
moved.
Thank you, Fran. Amy, I'll take you as a second, if that's okay.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the public hearing. So the public hearing is about the North Broadway Corridor Land Use and Zoning Study. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Amy. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the public hearing is now open. I do just want to add a couple things. Bonnie Franson is our land use consultant that we have hired to help us with this project. She works for Nelson Pope and Voorhees. And Bonnie is going to give us an overview of the project and where we are in the land use study. I think this will be very helpful to just ground everyone in the sort of overview details of how we got here. And then after that, it'll be open for public comment. So if anyone has public comment that they would like to make, we ask that you go to the podium and that you state your name and your address, and the purpose behind the address is so we know where you're coming from. And also to recognize that we'll give you 3 minutes. And the reason for that is so that because we have many people, we'd like to keep things moving. You are always welcome to follow up with an email. If you don't feel that you got everything or anything in writing, you're welcome to do that. And the purpose of a public hearing is for the board to hear your comments. If you would direct them to the board, the intention is not to have a back and forth. The purpose is not for us to answer questions. If there's the opportunity or there's a logic to clarify something, then we will do that. But the general notion behind public hearing is for the board to hear your comments. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie and let her set the stage.
Great, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for that introduction. Can you all see this PowerPoint presentation I put together?
Yes.
Are you able to
Yes.
see that?
Yes, it's up on the screen. Yep.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to go give a brief overview of where we are in the process and a little about the land use and zoning study. The whole process started around September of 2023. And part of the impetus for it was some anticipated changes to the Cookingham property, which is to the north of what we're calling the North Broadway land use area. And so, slide, this is essentially the study area. The study area encompasses lands along the corridor as well as some properties adjoining the corridor, so we understand the relationship of all the properties. And it goes from a portion of the Cookingham property on the north to the south to some properties that are just below Cherry Street. So I do have a link at the very end to the study. It is online and available for review, draft study. But I wanted to express the purpose, which is stated in that document, which is to look at that vacant property and whether the zoning should allow for more options to revitalize this portion of the corridor and allow additional uses which may not be presently allowed. So that was, again, the beginnings of why we started to evaluate this portion of the village. So the study's content, this is actually the outline that's in the table of contents. So we go into the introduction and purpose of the study. We evaluated the baseline conditions for the properties that are within the study area boundary. And so you see the topics have included demographics and housing, existing land use, what's existing land use, zoning in the area, are there historic resources, what are the mobility and parking patterns in this area, what utilities are present, and then what are the environmental considerations. The third part of the study goes into zoning considerations. So in New York State, you prepare a land use plan, a comprehensive plan, or you can do a focused land use study such as this one in anticipation of preparing zoning regulatory changes. And when you adopt either a comprehensive plan or an addendum to a comprehensive plan, such as what is envisioned for this study, the zoning must be in accordance with that plan. As a result, we have a process where we look at and prepare the underlying plan document for this area. What the intent is, the zoning is then drafted, speaker is done for both of those documents, and then ultimately they're both adopted. But we want to do it at the same time so that they're not out of sync with each other or where the zoning is inconsistent with the planning study. So zoning considerations, again, we consider the Cookingham property, what underutilized properties exist within our study area, what are the observations we made regarding the study area, and then develop a set of goals and objectives, some of which can be met through changes in the zoning. So one of the areas that we looked at was population statistics. This is just a snapshot of the village's population. We also looked at household size, ages, just general information about who's the population we're planning for. We looked at housing information. What is the current pattern of housing in the village? What are the units in the structure? That kind of tells us the building typology, whether it's single family attached, two families, multifamily, mobile homes, etc. We also looked at the age, year structure built. We looked at housing values. We looked at what is the owner-occupied to renter-occupied mix. These are some of the statistics that we looked at in the plan.
Bonnie, before you go on, if you go back to
Sure.
the last chart, it's a little small on the screen. Can you
Okay.
just kind of summarize both the structures of the housing and the
Sure.
age of the structures?
Yes, so and these aren't all the tables, these are just examples of the tables that we put together to address and look at housing. One of them, again, was units and structure, so we see how diversified the village's housing stock is, and as you can see from this, the vast majority of housing in the village is single-family detached housing. It's about 74% of the overall housing stock within your community. So therefore, to the extent that you want to diversify, this gives you a sense of what you do and don't have in terms of types of housing within the community. And you probably inherently know that from living in the village. This information does come from the Census Bureau. It's an estimate. So we do find sometimes when you have a smaller range of housing stock, smaller supply of housing stock, you might see some things that look different. So feel free to let us know. Year structure built is what's the age of your housing? Is your housing newer? Is it older? Are you finding that because you're largely built up, you don't have a lot of new housing? So you can see that you have 25% of your housing stock that's 1939 or earlier, and that contributes to your historic character in the village. But you also have a fair amount, 24%, that were built between 80 and 1999. So relatively new, not brand new. In the last, since 2010 to 2025, you have about 90 plus or minus dwelling units that have been constructed, about, let's say, 10.5%. So the amount of housing that you've introduced in the last 20, 25 years has slowed down. Or last 15 years, has slowed down. You can just zoom back out. So one of the other areas that we looked at is what is the zoning of the North Broadway land use study area. And these are the 3 zoning districts. We noted what the purposes were of the zoning districts that are set forth in your zoning local law. You have R20, and that's lower density single family residences. You can see what the lot size is for those dwelling units. The target was 20,000 square feet per dwelling unit. Some of the land is contained within the R10,000 zoning district, and again intended for slightly higher density single family residences. And again, it talks about the lot size and intended amenities such as sidewalks, utilities, street lighting. Excuse me. And then, thank you. And then general business. This is really the properties that you'll find along the corridor within this particular non-residential zoning district. And it's a central commercial area. Business is appealing to pedestrian. And it envisioned that you'd have upper floors of commercial structures could provide some opportunity for residences, especially for seniors, according to your zoning. So in our zoning section, you'll also see that we listed all the land uses that are allowed within each of the zoning districts, so you can do a comparison of what is allowed. And then as part of our discussions that we've had, we put together the plan, we've also discussed what other uses are allowed in other zoning districts, especially the non-residential zoning districts. So we also considered plans that the village may have had for the long-term development and evolution of this area. And I know this is small and it's probably going to get a little fuzzy if I expand it, but once upon a time in your pattern book, someone came up with this illustrative sketch plan of how they envisioned this area, how it would evolve. You can make out the pond over here, to give you a sense of place. To the south, you can just make out Cherry Street. And so you can see there was this pattern where it envisioned a parallel road coming from Cherry Street, and that's essentially where the back way into the CVS parking lot. And it envisioned a corridor that went parallel to Broadway and would provide some municipal parking or parking in general, and that you would have, as the area built out around the corridor, would be developed with a gridded system of residential uses, residential lots, with some other amenities. So this was the vision, but we'll note that as we went through the study, this vision to some extent ignores a primary feature that exists within the study area, and so it's a little difficult to overcome in order to create this layout. In addition, the reality is we have existing buildings here, and as we consider the evolution of this area, it'll likely be infill development, but we can't expect that they'll necessarily be demolition, so we have to work with and be pragmatic about what exists there now. So, as I said, when you look at the layout of the study area, one of the considerations was the environment. We looked at floodplains and wetlands and water resources, but in particular, we looked at topography. And here, these are topographic lines. You'll see that there are elevations noted. And as the topographic lines get smaller or dense, what you essentially have is steeply sloping land. The land where the lines are farther apart indicates shallow slope land or level land or relatively rolling land. So in the midst of the area that's been contemplated as being developed with this gridded pattern, you have the reality of a very large hill that is largely probably a good chunk of bedrock and which really has to be planned with, and not, no assumptions about getting rid of it. It's just part of the fabric that you're going to have to work with when you consider future development. So another area that we looked at was historic resources, and this is a smaller, and you'll see that there are maps in the study. This is a map that shows within the study area any areas that are considered eligible or if they're considered listed on the National Register. And so there's a table that provides the information that you'll see in the report and in the graphic here. So here's some of the properties that are National Register eligible or National Register.
So,
And so these are considerations.
for example, the historic the diner is an historic property, as is the Elmendorf, which I think folks know, as is the Grand Duchess, the
Right.
bed and breakfast on the west side.
And those, at least according to the state, I'm going to admit someone who's, are people allowed to zoom in, Mayor?
Sure.
Because I have someone in a waiting room.
Yes, thank you.
Sure. So, interestingly, when you're a National Register property, people can decide that they don't want to be on the National Register, so they remain National Register eligible. But in New York State, even if you're National Register, you can be placed on the state register. It's not that you're eligible. They'll place you on the state register even if you don't seek full National Register designation. So that's just kind of one of the differences in two state versus national designations. So another area of the plan that I described earlier was observation. So we took all this information, land use, we did do a field visit. Again, we spoke with people. We did have a couple of workshops where we talked to the public who were there and had input. And we started to develop a list of observations. So we know North Broadway is sort of transitional. It's somewhere between the higher density attached building pattern that's really your central business district, your little downtown in the center of the village, as you go north toward the agricultural areas of the unincorporated town. Introducing a dense building pattern in the North Broadway area could potentially take away and compete with the central business district and the uses there. So we want to be careful with what we allow, because we don't necessarily want to, string these uses along. If they're better concentrated in an area to create that pedestrian row where people want to go from shop to shop to shop. So we have to be careful how this is planned. As I mentioned earlier, this traditional neighborhood design concept, which is that grid pattern, it's been portrayed in a layout which could be accommodated in the study area, but it doesn't realistically consider that most buildings would remain there. We couldn't demolish them, so somehow we have to fit any infill or redevelopment within what's an existing building pattern in that area. So after we list all the various observations, we come up with a set of goals and objectives, and I don't want to take up the time to go through every goal and every objective. These are the listed goals of the study with regard to general land use, housing, commercial uses, utilities, the streetscape, community character, and how to implement it. So, for example, general land use, we want to allow a diverse mix of residential and non-residential uses. So the intent isn't, as part of a rezoning, just to have commercial. We want to create something that's a mixture. And to some extent, the market will dictate what someone pursues. In terms of housing, we want to encourage a diversity of housing to allow some additional opportunities for housing types that you might not have a lot of. So again, these are the 7 goals that you can read, and they are in the study that is online with the village on the website. So then for each goal, there are a set of objectives which are intended to guide how to achieve the goals. So if a general land use goal is to allow a diverse mix of residential and non-residential uses, now we describe, well, what's the intent? It's to continue commercial development along the easterly frontage of North Broadway, allow for limited mixed use, apartments above stores, so that's kind of consistent with the general business district now. Allow for properties to be developed with multiple uses. So you could have a residential building and a commercial building on the same lot, and that's intended to, again, allow for some of this infill development. We also want to protect existing residential uses and their character that's on the west side of North Broadway. So we acknowledge that that's the pattern, and we're not trying to expand commercial uses to the west side at this time. So for each of the goals that I had in the prior slide, they have a set of objectives in order to achieve the goal and the overall vision for the North Broadway area. So again, that's a real brief snapshot. The study's going to get ultimately adopted as an addendum to the comprehensive plan. That's the intent. There will be another public hearing on the comprehensive plan, and it may be edited based on what we hear this evening and what we hear from the village board. We'll revise it as appropriate, and then we'll start to finalize the draft of zoning amendments that will be adopted that are consistent with the study. And the zoning amendments themselves will need their own public hearing. As part of all of this, we have to conduct a State Department of Quality review of the proposed adoption of the 2 documents, so that's part of the process. And then finally, the village board may adopt the document if that's the direction they want to go in. And so I did provide a link to the document and where it can be found. So with that, Mayor, if you agree, we can take some comments.
Great, yes, I think that, that's very helpful. And I will, my mic, yes, okay.
Can
Sorry.
I ask a question before we open up?
Sure.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, since Bonnie, you referred to, you use the term "we" a lot, could you just give some clarification on, are you speaking there as a consultant, as Nelson Pope Voorhees? Are you speaking as someone representing the, like, what does "we" mean?
I can, well, I was going to say, I can answer that to some degree. Bonnie has worked with me, and she worked with prior trustee Steve Appenzeller, and also has worked with Melkorka Kjarval. And she also has a couple of folks she's worked with on her team. Would you say that's correct when you talk about we, Bonnie?
Yes,
Yes,
Victoria.
and Victoria Polidoro, the
Land
attorney,
use attorney.
has also been involved at points in the process as well.
Correct.
And then we've had a couple of forums where the public's been invited, so there has been some additional input.
Great, thank you.
Bonnie, if you want to give me back host before I forget. All right, with that, anyone who would like to make a comment, if you'd come on up and, oh, all right, I'll call up Kenneth or Nancy.
I'll have to say something.
You don't have to.
That's okay.
This is not an obligation, but
No.
we would
This
welcome
is-
your comments.
This is this is my,
If you could just, when you get to the
I
mic,
will, I understand.
ma'am,
Hi, my
ma'am,
name is Nancy.
one second,
Bedier.
one second.
Yes?
hang on one second. Could you just flip the switch on the mic, please?
Right on.
Just-
So you can be heard.
At the top. On top of the mic, right about there.
I don't see a switch. I'm not used to this.
It's okay.
I'm just a lowly neighbor.
You are not a lowly neighbor. You are.
So we all-
There you go, just keep speaking, it'll eventually
Oh,
work.
okay. My name is Nancy Bendiner. I live at 23 Grave Street, just 2 blocks away. And I came to this meeting as a local resident with not a lot of understanding of the entirety of your plan, which was described comprehensively by Bonnie, is that right? So
Yes.
I'm presenting my local, personal, residential viewpoint without attending to the larger questions which she introduced, which are quite broad. I live in what I believe to be an historic district, and I want people to be aware that the small homes along Graves and Cherry Street are part of the historic history of Red Hook, that despite the wealthy individuals who lived in this area and had enormous mansions, the small houses such as my own were homes to workers, historic supporters of our community from the 19th century. And any way that that group of homes is changed and prevented from reminding us of our historic past, that would be unfortunate. And I worry that the plan might involve changing the pattern of traffic that goes in that area of our village. I have heard rumors that the traffic flow might pass from possibly new housing, which I am in favor of. I'm very much in favor of finding new housing for the community. That is a great need. From what I have heard, there is an area where there might be construction of new housing, and that possibly one plan, tentative plan, would be to bring that route with the traffic flow down through CVS and across Cherry Street and down Grave Street. I do not know if this is accurate, but I would like some clarification about that, because that would directly impact the houses along Cherry, parts of Cherry and Graves. And remember, these roads were once very important road transports from New York City to Albany. There were stagecoaches, there were horses, and they were initiated by actually Indian transportation. So I would like to know what the tentative plan is for that particular area. What would be done with the CVS parking lot if that had to be intruded upon by any potential plan? And also, I would like to know if the road would need to be widened. As you know, there was an extensive water main project. And my neighbor Todd, who isn't here tonight, had been complaining that, and he's lived in that house across from me for his entire life, the fence was built and the land next to the fence is diminishing every time there's a project. And I've noticed that myself. So I'd like to know what impact this might have on our land borders along the road. And it is a relatively peaceful street. There are children, there are people who walk along that street, and I want to know whether or not these, any potential changes could affect their safety. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Who's next? Sorry. Is that Rose?
Yeah.
Come on up.
Hello, I'm Rose, and I live at 14 Grave Street, the house across from the Masonic Lodge. And I am a transplant to the town of Red Hook. I came here from Georgia, but not a town that was like this one. I came here from a very corporatized America, an America that was built for every single town to be exactly the same, you know, same houses, same shops, same, you know, kinds of people. Everybody was the same there. And when I moved here, where I'd wanted to be all my life, I felt like I'd found a unique corner of the globe that I was always looking for. And I, like Nancy, I really appreciate the small town appeal, and the historic houses are really important to me. I walk a lot. I'm an artistic soul, and I look at these houses and I think the fabric of this town is built on the historicism, and I feel that, you know, the idea that more, I certainly agree that there should be more housing, but I always, because I know how the world works, I feel that housing is often made cheaply and made, in this estate's opinion, ugly. And I feel that would detract from the character of the town. Additionally, I live on Grave Street, and there is a lot of traffic problems there, specifically speeding. And I feel that if there is more housing for a variety of people, it may increase the traffic pattern flow. And there are a lot of children who walk there, and they walk home from school, or their parents are with them. But oftentimes, you know, people are like racing by our house, rattling our windows, and I fear that with higher traffic flow, that can increase the potential for accidents, and that's really disturbing to me. So, you know, and I very much care about the land, and I hope that the land can be developed and made beautiful, and I hope that there can be some good uses for it, but I don't necessarily think that if you know, it ends up being zoned for high-rises, or not necessarily high-rises, but a more condensed kind of housing situation, that might take away from the balance of the town, if that makes sense. So that's and I really like being able to walk to everything. So if it keeps extending, it's gonna be harder to walk to everything. So yeah, that's all I have to say really.
Great, thank you very
Could I
much.
just ask, or point out, from what you said, I'm also reminded that during good weather, there are a number of elderly people who walk down that street with walkers and their aids and that kind of thing. And that opportunity would be diminished if there were increased
Yeah.
traffic.
Next person I have is George.
Hello. I'm probably going to upset some of you, but that's the way it goes.
George, could you just state your name and where you
George
live?
Beekman, 15 Cherry Street.
Thank you.
I've been a resident for over almost 40 years. I was on the zoning board for 25 years. And for 25 years, at one point, I was the only person in the audience for village meetings. So that's where my experience comes from. I've watched it and I've stopped coming because I got fed up. The village is the village. It's a small place. Expansion is always dangerous when you only have limited capabilities. I warned the village about the septic system. I was one of 2 people who came in and argued against this program. They didn't take it well. I spoke to other people from other towns that have similar systems, got their opinion, and I came back with the village with that. They were upset about me even contacting these people. So we have a system here which is probably going to fail again. You want to double the size of that to accommodate whatever you're trying to do up on the hill. Now that land was purchased with town money, my tax money, and then just somebody decided to put in low-income housing, although they called it affordable, which is a political word. Affordable is what you can afford. I'm tired of people crying about the mortgage rate of 6%. When I bought my house, it was 11%. Somebody's got to grow up and put their pants on. You know, this is ridiculous. But, you know, the conversion of this land, it should have been maybe a couple of $1 million homes sitting up there, which would have not have impacted the school, taxes, would not have impacted the utilities, would have been, and on the tax roll, would have been helpful. I don't know what you're planning with this. I've heard everything from Robert. I have no credibility with him. I'm sorry. I told him that. I don't care. Anybody associated with him, they have no credibility with me either. So anything they show you is probably not what's going to happen. And I don't know, originally I thought it was going to be people purchasing houses. Now it's low-income housing, like LaFrac City down the city or whatever. I don't know how they're going to do, who they're going to put in there. I don't know what size apartments they want to put in there. I'd like to see like 1-bedroom apartments. If you're going to be doing low-income, because that's allegedly people don't have money. You don't have money unless if you're wasting money on renting. You just buy a house when you can afford it. And right now it's subsidizing all these people buying houses, covering their closing costs and stuff. They're going to lose the house like they did the last time around. So I don't know what's going on up there. But the village is it's a certain size and that's it. If you can't make the best use of what you've got, expansion of it is going to be dangerous. And I don't think the sewer system is going to work in the long term. And it's going to cause banks to foreclose or not to write loans against these houses through mortgages because it's not a real sewer system. And I told them about that at the beginning. They didn't want to invest the full shot it takes to do it. Why waste money? In theory, the money spent so far has been a waste. Doubling it is going to be another waste. And right now there's a problem with the water going out of it. It's flooding some areas in the village and in the town. So you're going to destroy the town, which, again, where it flows, it goes where it's going to go. But I don't think you've addressed that. I don't know why everybody's rubber stamping these things. It makes no sense at all. And a lot of people are looking at moving at this point. I'm considering it getting out of the state because I don't have any faith in the operations currently going on. So.
Appreciate you coming out, I really do. Thank you.
I appreciate the chance to say this. Thank you.
Candia.
Hi, I'm Candia Kadich, and I live on Park Avenue, and I'm a newbie. I've lived here 3 years, and I feel kind of funny because I don't want it to go down Park, all the traffic, and of course everyone else on the South Side don't want people going there. So I feel a little funny about my self-centeredness, you know? But, and I studied the study. I read it, read the zoning, and I just assumed it was going to happen. I didn't think, oh, this was the place to stop it. I assumed this is going to happen. And so with that in mind, I started thinking about life for our kids, for me, etc. So I have concerns about speed, traffic, walking, safety for bicycles. Like I said, I've been here 3 years, and we've opened up the wonderful trail. I mean, I use it all the time on the Cookingham West. Of course, that's brought a lot of traffic to Park Avenue, and they've made parking only on one side. And the road really isn't wide enough if someone's parked for 2 cars to get by. And so I'm sitting here thinking, as long as they don't, as I read it, I thought, well, they're not going to empty out all those houses onto 9, so then they won't all come speeding down Park as they currently do in order to get to IXL, Bard, and Kingston. And more cars are coming and parking there. So number 1, I think maybe we need sidewalks on both sides. It needs to be wider so that people can park on one side and can easily get by. I think we need to think about crosswalks. My goal is, I'm getting old, and I want to be able to walk everywhere when they take away my license. So it's real hard to get, the little triangle park where the memorial is and everything. There's no crosswalks. And I'm taking my life in my hands because I don't walk as fast as I used to. So I'm worried about crosswalks. People are going to walk. I thought if we focused on people biking and walking out of there, that's good. And I was thinking, oh, if they go south, then they will go to 199 and they won't cut through Park. But, we're all focused on ourselves, so I can't be any different. So that was my concern, which way they go. You're right about speeding on Graves, because boy, they speed on Park, sometimes like 50 at night, it's crazy. So I would like to see the speed reduced. I would like to see bike area to ride a bike. I would like to see sidewalks on both sides. I would like to see crosswalks. We've already got people come from the high school, and all the kids walk to school down that street. They all go to the pool in the summer, me too. And they all go to the areas where you can shop here. So I'm just concerned about calming traffic on Park. I'm probably not, I don't know, as I read it, I understood that the traffic wasn't gonna empty out on 9 because it's an interstate and they don't like, not an interstate, it's a county road or it's a state highway. And so they don't like a whole lot of cuts into it. So I thought they wouldn't come at 9. If they didn't come out 9, then they would go down Park. But then I see this other issue here on this historic old part of town. So I don't know, can we elevate them and, lift them over all the, no, it's a joke. So anyway, I don't know how you solve this, because none of us are gonna all be happy with whatever you do, you know that. So I'm just concerned about safety and really focus on making it walkable, lots more crosswalks, bike trails, traffic calming, lower the speed, 25, because it's not the state road, so you could. And anything else you can do to calm that traffic, because I know I'm going to get more of it. So that's my 2 cents. All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ask her a question? Could I ask her a question?
Technically not, but go ahead.
I like the idea, because I go down Park a lot. The idea of a crosswalk sounds like a very reasonable, and also all the things that you described. And when I'm dealing in Grave Street, if the houses are much closer to the road, like my house is maybe 15 feet from the road.
I drive down Cherry and then that other street, Elizabeth, or something, I don't know what it is, not Elizabeth, but I don't usually go down Graves because it's so tiny. I avoid it.
But a lot of people are skipping the traffic light and they go during
Well,
rush
that's why
hour.
I'm getting so much traffic. Everyone goes
We
down
also
Park.
get a lot of traffic, but to put sidewalks on our street, it would obliterate my front yard in
Right.
front of my house, and I'd be 1 foot from the street, which you see around here, because a lot of the old houses
Right.
had much more room around them until they built the highways. I mean, there was no front yard.
Yeah.
So they're differently approached, those two roads. But safety and walkability
Calming, slow.
and calming and slow are all themes that we can join in hoping for. Yes.
Thank you, Candia. Is there anyone else who would like to? There's no one else who signed up, is there?
I didn't sign up, though, I forgot to.
That's okay, come on up.
Want me to sign up first, or?
No, it's okay, I'll write you down.
All right. My name is Pete Salikas, and I live on 10 Cherry Street. And I've lived there 55 years. And the house was in my wife's family prior to that. And when I got married, I had a lot of choices as to where I could go. But I always liked Mayberry from Andy Griffith. And I felt that Red Hook was perfect for that. So I've spent my life doing just about everything you can possibly imagine to my property to make it the kind of place where you really want to live. And I think Red Hook has just gotten big enough. There's not much more than I can say than that. I understand small towns are getting larger all over the United States, all over the world for that matter. But enough is enough, like George said. It's gotten big enough. We don't need more traffic. We need more housing, but not necessarily congesting this particular little town. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Pete. Anybody else like to speak? Yeah, come on up. Just state your name and where you live.
Oh, hi, Sven Anderson. I live at 18 Maze Lane. Been there about 22 years. I just wanted to note, and I really am repeating a common theme and a feature that I notice, and that is that there's a lot of traffic cut-throughs. Fisk Street is one example. Park is an example. Church is an example. All in avoidance of using the streets which probably are best designed to hold the traffic down. I think this development, I don't know if I have a stake either way, but I think I can imagine it exacerbating the problem if it creates yet another way to skip through the traffic lights. And I think that's an issue the village needs to deal with all around. I'm happy to say that in our particular little corner, we don't have that because we have a road that goes nowhere. But I really feel for those of you who live in the other areas where people are constantly driving through for no good reason when they could just stay on either of the two big roads. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Sure, come on up. Name, address?
Must I live in the village to make a comment?
No.
Oh, I'm Nancy Horn, H-O-R-N-E. Hi, my name is Nancy Horn. I live on Hewlett Road. And I haven't heard anything about commerce up in that area. And I've only heard about housing, but there's word and talk about commerce and McDonald's and drive-throughs and things like that. I am only hearing about housing, so I'd like that to be talked about. Thank you.
Sure.
No?
There's nothing.
Good.
Great.
Anybody else like to make a comment? Okay, I'm not hearing anybody else wanting to make a comment. We have two folks on Zoom. Anybody, either of you want to make a statement? I know one probably doesn't. Okay, we'll take that as a no. Bonnie, do you want to make any sort of general comments about the land use study and its goal based on some of the comments that have been made?
Yeah, I think that the concerns regarding speeding and making the streets calmer, traffic calming, is also a concern with regard to the development that occurs here. And so there is a desire that whatever development does come into place would have side access road that would be behind CVS. That's really intended to allow for some frontage if people put infill buildings in, so that you're not having to come, it's to stop sort of the conflicting movements that might go in and out of Route 9. It's so that there's a little better traffic circulation area within that portion of North Broadway on the east side, where you have some of the existing commercial uses there. So if more buildings go in, just want some better access. So we're not envisioning this full-blown, super wide road. We're really envisioning something that provides access, that would also consider on-street parking perhaps, or nodes of parking, and again, sidewalks for pedestrian access, which is desired, in that area, never mind throughout the village. I understand some of the concerns. I understand the desire for crosswalks. I think that's a village-wide concern, and I'm sure the village board can address that. But inherent to whatever happens in the Broadway area, these are going to be, all the development is going to be subject to site plan review. It's going to be subject to planning board review. It may require ZBA variances. And so there is going to be an opportunity to design these and require that they be designed to achieve some of these objectives, or the most that you can with these objectives that are set forth in the study to meet the intent of the study, whether it's traffic calming or pedestrianism or architecture. I know there was some discussion about concerns with what these properties look like. They're still subject to the pattern book, which is part of the zoning, so that it feels like it fits within your historic pattern village. So that was another comment. So I'm just looking at my notes I was able to write down here. Any study would be required to examine traffic and traffic patterns. There isn't any intent to make Graves or Cherry have to suddenly have to withstand all this development traffic, but there's certain realities that, for instance, if the Ross property gets developed, in all likelihood, they're just going to have to come out to Cherry because there really isn't many alternatives. However, the plan, though, is to try to put some linkages, if possible, so that all the traffic isn't coming out to Cherry. Can it come out in a different location to split the traffic so it isn't accumulating in one area? So that will be part of any traffic analysis that has to be done as part of the development. So interconnections are very important to disperse traffic and not have it all accumulate to one intersection. If I think someone talked about, closing off intersections or intersecting driveways along North Broadway. We don't know that will happen. I don't think we anticipate that there'll be a lot of driveway closing for the businesses along Route 9. It would be nice if some of them were condensed, but there shouldn't be any expectation that suddenly all of the driveway access is closed off to North Broadway, and then they're all coming out the back way by Cherry. That's not going to happen, and that's not what's intended.
I think
those are the highlights.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you've covered those nicely. I appreciate the opportunity for you to share a little perspective on that. So I am going to suggest we are required to have another public hearing. And so what I'd like to do is to close this public hearing, and then we will set the next one. Whether we do that tonight or we do that at our next meeting, we'll discuss that. But if there's no objection, I would take a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Amy. Second?
One second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Are we allowed to know what any of the board feels about what's going on?
Yes, of course. The purpose of the public hearing is to get public comment. so that we can then have an opportunity to receive that, discuss that, and go from there. I'm sensitive to our agenda that we have. We have other things on the agenda, and we have other folks here who want to make some public comment. So the intention was not to have that conversation or that debate now, but certainly over the next several meetings, we will certainly be discussing this, for sure. You bet.
Mayor, if I could just add, so I'm here at the town of Montgomery, and I have to jump into a planning board meeting. They were kind enough for me to set myself up here, so I'm going to excuse myself, and I look forward to seeing whatever comments the public and the board has.
Thank you, Bonnie. Really appreciate your time.
Sure. Thank you.
Mayor, can I make a suggestion?
Good night.
Yeah, sure.
Which
Can
is
you all
that-
make sure you actually speak into your mic?
There's just a lot of equipment, sorry. I wanted to suggest that we have some printed copies of this, that people could come and read it. If it's hard to read, it's a thick PDF to read on your screen, so that in advance of the next public hearing, so that folks could read it. It's been online, but I completely agree that it's easier to read, and if people wanted to come and read it.
People are always welcome in my office to ask for it.
Yeah, so please avail yourself of this. It's much easier to read in paper. And then you can see what it does and does not include.
Yeah. Can you also speak into your mic?
A number of the people who are here tonight are here because I approached them.
Great.
And I went door to door. And I think the rest of this board, you know, you represent the constituency of the Village of Red Hook, and you better find out what the Village of Red Hook, the people of the Village of Red Hook, really feel about this thing. All right? I don't feel that I can vote on this thing. And when I went door to door, I went with this document and handed it out door to door. And I invite my fellow board members to go door to door, not only the residences, but the commercial enterprises in this village, and find out what they feel about it. I made it a point not to tell anybody what I felt about it, but I never heard a positive statement coming back at me. And a number of the statements were certainly about the traffic and about the access to this property from the south, which has to be Grave Street. That's all there is, or Cherry Street. Yeah, and as you've heard, the concerns about traffic on both of those streets is already a problem, and it can't help but be exacerbated by additional development right there. So please, go door to door, knock on the doors and find out what your constituency feels about this.
Great. Any other, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing, this public hearing, the first of two. Any other comments, additions?
I appreciate everyone coming out and talking about
Yes,
it.
thank you
Yes,
very
actually,
much.
that's true, thank you.
And share with us. So.
Very much appreciate that, because again, this is meant to be a community. It's not we are here to represent you, but this is a wonderful opportunity for you to come and see what we're talking about and why we're talking about it. And there, I have a whole variety of comments that I'm not going to make just yet, but we really appreciate it. It really does make a difference. We don't usually, as George mentioned, we don't usually have this many people sitting here for our meetings, so we really appreciate that you came out. Okay, with that said, this is the motion to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye, great. Okay, so our public hearing is now closed. And now we will move on to the next item on the agenda is public comment. So we'll take just a second to have folks who do not want to stay for the rest of our exciting meeting.
On TV.
Good, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, with that, we'll proceed with public comment. I know that we have a couple folks who would like to make public comment, which is you have the opportunity to make a comment on any subject at all. We'd appreciate it if you'd limit it to 3 minutes. Charlie, would you like to,
Oh,
yes, I
raise my
know
hand.
you, no, I just know you, I know you're the guy, I'm waiting for you to stand up, so come on.
I thought there were 6 or 7 others.
No, come on up, come on up, come to the podium, name, address.
All right, get my reading glasses on here, 1 second. So, thank you to the board, especially to Francis for inviting me this evening.
Just your name and where you live.
Yes, my name is Charlie Rubin. I live right here in the village, and I have for 20 years. Do I need to adjust that? Okay. So, I'm here to
You can
ask...
say you live on Prince Street.
I live on Prince Street, yes I do, very close by. I am here to ask the mayor and the board to take urgent action to help 2 homeless men who are sleeping outside right now in the bitter cold. These are lifelong village residents, but both have mental health issues. I have been trying everything I can think of to help these men, but I have not succeeded, and I'm afraid that they will freeze to death outside this very evening when it gets down to 7 degrees Fahrenheit. If not tonight, some night soon. There have been many private efforts to help these men over the years, but they are difficult cases, and they need us as a village to step up and find a solution. I'm not trying to rehabilitate them in any way, I just don't want them to die on the street. It's happened here before with other homeless men who did not get our help. One of the men has already lost body parts to frostbite. If they don't die in the streets of Red Oak tonight, perhaps they will lose more fingers or toes. I've gotten to know these 2 men, and they are decent, caring people who happen to have difficult issues. One of them volunteers at the local food pantry. But as you might expect, they leave messes behind like a toddler and sometimes have to be cleaned up after. They are too difficult for any one private person to take care of. But we are a village of 2,000 people. One of them was sleeping overnight in the little information kiosk right next to the village hall here. But apparently at one time he left a mess, and someone from the village had to clean it up. So the village put a padlock on it. The simplest, quickest solution would be to remove this padlock and allow them to stay warm there. It even has a heater. That could happen immediately after this meeting. I'm told there are liability concerns, but it's been used like that for a long time. Of course, an attorney will always warn of potential lawsuits, but is that 1 in 1,000 possibility worth someone dying for? These men are not willing to go to faraway shelters and would very likely get kicked out anyway. We need to help them right here in the village where they are. Is it asking so much to just give other human beings who can barely care for themselves a place out of the cold? We do better for stray dogs. Do lawyers trump basic decency and caring? These men don't need supervision, just a tiny bit of cleanup, that's it. It's a small price to pay to do the right thing. And then hopefully, over the coming weeks, with the full engagement of the entire village board, we will come up with a better solution, and we will be proud that we did right by those among us who have the least and need our help the most. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Charlie. Anybody else like to make public comment? Okay, we'll take that as a note. We actually have an agenda item where we will be speaking about the homeless, so we will have that discussion towards the end of the general business. With that, so that's the answer to your question. We will discuss it then. The first item on general business is property taxes, I believe.
Yeah, I just have to make a quick correction. I apologize. This is my updated October report for property taxes received by the village. Property taxes due to the village, $1,444,137.28 from 758 parcels. At the end of October, we received $1,419,872.11 and penalties of $4,999.40. It was the penalties number that was incorrect in your prior report. The total received $1,424,871.51, and the outstanding amount of $26,446.87 from 13 parcels was referred to Dutchess County for collection on the next county/town property tax. So there you have it. I hope I do not have to revise this again.
Thank you. And I realize I put it in the wrong spot. I do actually have one more thing to add into public comment. There was someone who thought they might be here tonight, but given that she's not, I told her I would read her email. I hope to be able to hop on the public portion of your village meeting, but I'm not sure I will be able to. My family and I, this is from Lisa Lauren, and she lives on Park Avenue. My family and I have been village residents since August 2006 and enjoy the village, all the village has to offer. Thank you for your service to our village residents. As village residents, we love the community, the walkability, the environment, and all the amenities the village has to offer, such as brush pickup, recycling, garbage, and leaf pickup. We also love all the hard work put into programming and the offering of fun activities in our beautiful village. We are truly fortunate to live in such a beautiful part of the Hudson Valley, rich in history and tradition. All of the seasons are beautiful here, but winter is extra special. Fresh fallen snow can be so exciting and fun, but for some residents, it can also be a big challenge. As you are well aware, homeowners that have sidewalks in front of their homes are responsible for snow removal within 24 hours of the snow stopping. If a homeowner does not remove the snow, the village might step in and remove snow at a cost to the homeowner. This seems reasonable and fair, however, it prevents walking on the sidewalks until the removal is complete, and this can sometimes take up to 48 hours. This time frame allows for the snow to become compacted or icy and much more difficult to remove. There are several other issues that come up with regard to the removal of snow and ice. 1. Those neighbors that do not remove the snow are not all equal. Not everyone completely removes the snow. Some just shovel a narrow path. 2. There are many elderly or disabled residents that are unable to clear their own sidewalks, and while most neighbors are willing to help out, and if the homeowner hires someone, it does not always get done in a timely fashion, leaving residents to trudge through unshoveled snow. 3, we have many homeowners that have dual residency and may not be home at the time of the snowfall. And 4, students within 1 mile radius of junior high and high school walk to school and oftentimes are walking before homeowners can get out and clear a path. I can only speak for our family, but we consider brush, leaf, and garbage pickup a luxury. We take full advantage of these amenities. However, they are just that, amenities. Clear sidewalks, in our opinion, a necessity. In addition to our son that regularly drives his wheelchair to school on the sidewalks, there are several other local children, some of their own, with their own disabilities that use them to get to school safely. While our concerns are some of the more obvious, there are many others, parents with strollers, elderly, students, dog walkers, etc., that use those sidewalks on a daily basis and are not able to do so if they are not clear of snow. While I do not have any definitive solutions, I am open to any the village might be willing to offer to help remedy this issue. The one possible solution I can think of is the Village Highway Department. They are a very hard-working group and do a fantastic job keeping our village clean and safe. No one is looking to make more work for them, but to the layperson not privy to inner workings of the department, it seems to make sense. There are many things behind the scenes that we are unaware of that might prevent them from being able to do snow removal, but it just seems to be one possible solution. If snow removal on the sidewalks were treated with the importance of snow removal on the roadways, that would be amazing. We have such an amazing walkable village, and it is a shame that the walkability is hindered during the winter season. We want to encourage everyone to get out, walk, exercise, and visit all our village has to offer all year round. And there you go. That is, I wanted to read that into the record. Okay, now back to the regular business. The next item is, this is an amendment to extend an agreement that we have with Dutchess County for crisis intervention team training program. This is a program that we have been part of for many years. And it is, and I'll just read the description. This is to provide crisis intervention team training, CIT, to law enforcement officers and implementation of behavioral evaluation action team patrols in the town of Poughkeepsie. That's not relevant. But it is really the training, and it gives us the opportunity to partake in the county training. So this is supported by the police lieutenant. We just have to sign on if we're in agreement. So I would ask for a motion to authorize me to sign this amendment and extension agreement.
So moved.
Thank you, Fran.
A second.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Just quickly, how might this assist a problem such as our previous speaker, didn't get the name.
Charlie.
Expressed of homelessness.
It's not intended for that purpose. This is for a crisis. I mean, it's how to manage a crisis situation. What's that?
It does actually
Oh, does
say in the.
Well, there are
scope.
laws associated with what is required, and so, yes, so I guess from that standpoint, it would be, the training would be included in what to do in an emergency situation. Any other questions?
Arguably, the officers who have already been through this are in fact currently using the skills from this training in their work with the folks who are unhoused.
Yes, that would be
Because
true.
we have been participating for several years.
Any other comments?
And this is no cost to the village, right?
Correct.
Yes, just wanted to clarify.
I'll go, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Tony was an aye. Okay. Oh, the next item probably shouldn't be on the agenda, sorry, that's my fault. Because we had our public hearing. I think we have enough time at our workshop to set the public hearing for our January meetings, should we so choose, right? Because it's the 22nd of December and our meeting is the 12th of January.
Yeah.
So I think I'll push it to the workshop as to when we,
Just realized the dates on this.
were they wrong? Sorry. Oh right, it's all December, sorry. Okay, now we have the items that were added to the agenda. You all have a copy. I'll start with the increase the snow removal fee and adding a salting fee. And actually, I should have taken that off. It's not adding the, I thought I changed that, anyway.
The mattress is on a separate.
Yes, the mattress is on a separate leaving. My agenda. 46, got it.
We run it online for it anymore, so
It's in this part.
And so the reason behind this is that we have in our village code that property owners who have sidewalks are required to clear the sidewalks after a storm within 24 hours of the end of the storm. If they don't do that, the village has the right to clear it for them, and we charge by linear foot. Oh, I said square foot. It's linear foot. Sorry about that. Boy, I said square foot everywhere.
Square foot makes sense, honestly, because not all sidewalks are the same width,
But it's based on how long, yes,
Yeah,
I
okay.
hear you. So our current fee is $2 a square foot, a linear foot, sorry. And it really doesn't actually cover our cost, and so the proposal here is to set the snow removal fee to $3 per linear foot. And as you may remember from a previous approval, the sanding salting cost has gone up dramatically. And so we wanted to add a sanding salting fee of $1 per linear foot if it's necessary. It's not always necessary. And then to have these fees become effective immediately. Anybody have any questions? Any further clarification needed?
Is $3 per linear foot enough?
Probably not, but the idea was to move in the right direction. We did check with Rhinebeck and they charge $4, but we didn't feel we needed to double it right away.
As someone who does shovel their walk when their husband doesn't, I think this is appropriate, and I would even go to 4 if
I would also.
I remember walking through, and is this time for discussion? Is it okay that I discuss now?
Yeah, absolutely.
walking through the village pregnant and how scary it was sometimes when, you know, you'd walk through, someone has some trouble. So I do think it's a public safety thing. And I also know that some people can't actually, they can't shovel themselves. There are issues, reasons why but they should arrange a service or find a way.
And I will also add that Red Hook Responds is also looking to find folks who are willing to volunteer to help out some people who are in a position not to be able to. Actually, their Monday announcements, they mentioned that, and I put them in touch with the scouts because I know they sometimes do that. And they're good, healthy high school students who are in need of community service. So by making that connection, it's a great opportunity for those who might not be in a position to contract with someone that it might be able to be.
There is an issue also, not to like go into the weeds as I always do, but with the crossings, they get plowed by the clouds that go by and they get filled up again. And set.
On state highways in particular.
Yeah, and it's tricky. So I know that the property owners are required to also, clear the sidewalk that approaches to the corner. And some don't, and some just do that small little path, which, I also think that we should discourage people from.
Yes, agreed.
I think that if it needs to be plowed full width, we should do that and charge them. But that, I don't know if that's something where we have to do a better job of letting people know, or if that's something that after a certain amount of time, like we should be doing that as a village, or how that.
I kind of think that there's a variety of possibilities, and one of them is education. We have a couple of places where we can add information about how, what's the expectation, I guess, around snow removal and why. But also, we've talked about having, and Jen and I actually just talked about this today, of maybe having a door hanger or something to leave behind, so when someone hasn't done their walk, to remind them with something physical on their door to say, reminding you that you need to clear your walk. And that can be for someone who just clears the thin walk and say, it's not sufficiently clear.
And could we, if we do something like that, also include information about, like, if you're physically unable to, here's some opportunities, because I do think that sometimes people do the narrow thing because
that's all they can do.
That's all they can do.
Yes.
And we wouldn't want them to, but that said, I would, like what Mount Corporate just said, I would be in favor of setting it to $4 per linear foot, if that gets us closer to covering the costs of it.
Then let's do, what's the right way to do that? So, you would make a motion to make the amendment of having it be $4 a linear foot?
Okay, I will make a motion of having it, amending the resolution that we have not yet passed, to set the snow removal fee to $4 per linear foot.
Second?
I'll second it. I mean, I'm one of the people that has a shovel. Karen, you're one of the people that has a shovel. There's a lot of residents that don't, because a lot of people don't have sidewalks adjacent to their property, and or there is a property owner that is supposed to be responsible, like they have a landlord. But for public safety, I think it's important, and for kids going to school, I think it's really important. So.
Well, and also because Department of Public Works, they're paid by tax dollars, so
that's true.
If we are, an equitable use of tax dollars, we need to make sure we're covering it while providing people who cannot do it with alternatives.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to increase the snow removal fee to $4. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Tony?
I'll vote aye.
Okay, Fran?
Aye. Second.
And I'll be an aye too. Okay, with that amendment, I will take a motion to pass this resolution, which is Resolution 46.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Amy. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Which is?
This is for the resolution itself that includes the $4 a linear foot plus the $1 for salting and sanding.
That's what we just voted
No,
on.
No, we voted to increase it from 3 to 4 to make that amendment. That was an amendment.
Oh, I see, okay.
So this is now for the resolution. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of Resolution 46?
Aye.
Aye, great, thank you. Okay, the next item is very straightforward. We currently offer a bulk tag to pick up a bulk item, and there is an additional fee of $5 for a mattress or a box spring. That's because the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency, or UCRA, charges, they used to charge $5 extra for a mattress or box spring, they now charge $10. So I'm proposing that we increase the additional fee for a mattress or box spring to $10 to match what we are charged for that.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Since we're contracting now with the Village of Tivoli,
Mhm.
do we get an additional amount for, are they allowed to do mattresses in box spring or no?
So that's actually something that I will bring to the next meeting,
Okay.
is an amendment to the
To their
contract that we
contract.
have.
Great.
The proposal, just so you know, the proposal is for them to match, so that,
Yeah.
that they would, a bulk tag item would be $25 and that would come to us. And the extra would be, they generally follow our fees
Yeah.
in that sense.
Thank you for clarifying.
Any other questions, comments? I take a motion to, this would be Resolution 47.
So moved.
Thank you, Fran.
I'll second.
Thank you, Amy. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. And then the last one that I had added was, now I get to say my statement. I'm looking for a motion to authorize the mayor to approve the proposal from Lori E. Doty CPA for audit services of the Village of Red Hook Justice Courts, cash receipts and disbursements. As I mentioned, this is a requirement, this is a legal requirement that we do every year. Lori Doty has done this for us for the last several years. Her prices has increased, but she kept her price, it was $900 for the last 2 years, and the year prior to that, she did a year and a half to get us on our fiscal year, and that was $1,000, and so her price this year is $1,000, which, when compared to the possibility of our regular auditor, for example, it would be a lot higher. I don't have an actual quote, but I would love to have that motion. Thank you, Tony.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the last item that we added to the general business was a discussion about homelessness. Fran, I don't know if you want to kick it off. There is a lot of information, there's laws, there's a lot that's actually been done. It is a difficult situation. I do want to clarify that the info booth has never been open to anyone. It has been broken into many, many times, and it is not one time that a mess has been left. It is many, many times a mess has been left. So I just want to clarify that it is not something that ever was left open, you know, with a wink, wink, and a nod. It has always been broken into by anyone who has used it overnight. I fully understand the idea that it's warmer than outside. I believe the person who several years ago passed away because they passed out on someone's porch. I believe that happened in Rhinebeck. This is a very difficult situation. I will say there is a law that the police officers are required to offer a ride to a shelter, and adults have the ability to refuse the ride. They cannot force them unless they are either unconscious, a direct hazard to themselves. You could certainly argue that 5 degrees overnight and refusing to go to a shelter would be a hazard to themselves, but the legal the legal part around that is tricky, because, adults do have the right to make their own decisions. So it's a tricky scenario. I will say that our police officers are very aware of the folks who are here. They sometimes have a car to be in overnight, sometimes they don't. I speak regularly with the police lieutenant and the police sergeant. I spoke with him today. They're in touch. We last year, as far as I know, for the first time in the village's history, worked with Hudson River Housing and St. Christopher's Church, and had an overnight warming center that was staffed both by Hudson River Housing and by volunteers, and folks who came were given a hot meal. It was really a very positive and supportive thing, and until about a month ago, we thought that that was going to happen again, and that the St. Christopher's is no longer able to provide that. And so there have been folks who've been meeting, who've been trying to find a suitable alternative location. That's still in the works. It is also surprisingly cold.
Earlier.
I mean, it's December 8th, and we've had under 32 already many nights, and we have many coming.
North wind's coming in today.
Tonight is going to be brutal, absolutely.
Which would be an issue even if the warming center were able to repeat, because that
Well,
doesn't start.
it wasn't going to start
wouldn't
till
have
the
started
end of December, exactly.
Yeah, just like last time.
So, I mean, I have reached out to Hudson River Housing. I've spoken with them several times about, how might we approach this. There's been a suggestion that we use the village court overnight, which, Village Hall is not set up for overnight residences. Is it a possibility? Again, I've reached out to Hudson River Housing and asked them their perspective. Where is that location? If someone had a barn that was heated, that perhaps with the support of Hudson River Housing, to have someone there who is trained to manage folks who are not always the easiest to manage. Sometimes people don't get along.
I was an overnight volunteer at the warming center last winter, and maybe 8 nights out of 10, no problem. Everybody's asleep the whole night, no big deal. But yeah, not everybody gets along, and not everybody has the same reactions to sharing space, and so on. And so it's not that people need a babysitter, but it is sometimes that people need someone who can help them navigate something that's scaring them, whether that's a physical health problem or a mental health problem, and so on. And obviously the volunteers, we weren't trained in that. That wasn't the role we provided, but we were there with the Hudson River Housing employee who was trained in that.
And it was private funding, actually, that was used to support the Hudson River Housing. And the church provided both the space, and they provided the cots and
the Methodist Church.
Hudson River Housing provided the
cots. I thought God's church did. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, and then the Methodist Church also provided a food train.
Yes.
So there was a big community effort, and a lot of volunteers worked very hard to make that happen. I hope it happens again in some fashion, if we find a location.
So Fran, after telling you that you could start it off, I took over, so I apologize. It is an issue that is, it's an important one, and it's one that I find very, very difficult, because I really don't know how to solve it.
The other thing is we have a phone now on the outside of the building here, that anybody that doesn't have access to a phone, they can always come and they can call and get police to come and take them somewhere.
I will add that one might need to lift it and several times. It doesn't always work perfectly. We are trying to address that. But yes, we do have that phone. That is certainly an option. Sorry, Fran, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. I think one of the things I wanted this to be an opportunity for us as a board and also with the public, engaging the public on this issue. It's very complicated. There are a lot of feelings online, in person. I just would like to encourage people to think also, we're all very concerned about this issue. I find it frankly offensive that anyone would suggest that anyone present here or in the public seeks for anyone to perish in the cold. That's just, I mean, you have to have an astonishing level of cynicism to believe that. Nobody wants that. A lot of these individuals who are unhoused in our communities have, as we say, very severe mental health problems that often preclude them from accepting help. I would like us to be conscious of the fact that these people have families. We're not their saviors. They are, I believe, very strongly in personal autonomy. I may not understand the reasons for someone to choose to be unhoused or refuse help when offered, but it is that person's individual right to do so. I, again, would reiterate that these people, as I understand, have local family, at least one, if not both, of the two persons whose names I have heard mentioned most frequently in association with this issue. They have family, and it is not easy. I can tell you, as someone who has personal family experience of mental illness, it is very difficult to know that you have a lost loved one who is still living. So please consider that. This is for all of us and also for the public. Please be respectful of the families. We're very blessed to have Patrick Hildebrand and his team as resources. I do a little looking online, and they are very, very involved in this issue. This is a desperately urgent issue, but we are all working very hard, and I feel that the more eyes we have on it, the better. But let's all please act in good faith that everybody is doing their very best. Thank you.
And I'll also add that there is funding that is provided for emergency services, temporary housing, and it's given to the county. And one of the issues, of course, is the Dutchess County has chosen to have most of their facilities in Poughkeepsie.
Yes.
And certainly some folks are from Red Hook, they want to stay in Red Hook, they don't want to go to Poughkeepsie, and I fully understand that. I have been advocating to the county, I mean, at this point it's been years, to say you need regional services. And I hope to continue that advocacy. I think that we have, our county legislator is starting to, he's proposing possibly tonight, I think.
Yeah, tonight.
And what he's proposing is a grant program that would allow for funding, which is part of it, but it's only part of it. Because again, just having a warm place to be isn't always enough. The wraparound services, where do they come from, who gets them, who coordinates that, etc. Which is why I insisted that Hudson River Housing be involved last year, because that's what they do.
Yep.
And so I think it's really important to have the people who are trained in managing or working with people who don't fit the norm, who don't answer the way we think they ought to, because it's not always that simple. Tony, you wanted to say something, I think.
Yeah, especially after my profession as an attorney was kind of, well, it was mentioned.
Yes.
But you can't help but have heard the expertise that's on this board and the concern so well expressed by every member of the board. It isn't that they don't care. In fact, they would like to find solutions, right? There are agencies that give out blankets and not only governmental but private agencies. I think St. Christopher collects coats, right? It isn't limited to this one place over here that you're talking about, because yes, that is a liability. And there is a further liability in infringing on people's rights. Right? and it can be a delicate balance, it really can be. As far as attorneys go, I know for a fact that there are many attorneys on the boards and officers of social welfare agencies, private agencies that work with not only the homeless, but you know, those in poverty and those who need help. All right. You know, if it's one individual, then you know there's the Salvation Army. I know they give out and collect clothing, and probably can find some housing. And it may not be housing right here in Red Hook, but certainly in the region, especially during these cold days like tonight. I would suggest do something right away tonight if you can.
But if, it just, the community center also has clothing and the like.
Christchurch.
And Christchurch does as well.
Christchurch has.
And I will, as I say, we know that it's going to be very, very cold tonight. The police officers are out and about. They know where specifically the two gentlemen tend to hang out. They are on alert.
They will check for them.
They will check for them, and they will do what they can.
And they have built relationships so that it's not considered intrusive for them to check in on them.
And
I do know that one of them for sure has access to a car with heat tonight.
And I see one of them all the time. He's right over on Grape Street, Cherry Street area right there.
Yeah.
And you know, it's sad. It definitely is sad. And you know, if you have the
I can
need
acknowledge.
to do it, call.
I was going to say, I can acknowledge that Charlie has certainly helped out, and he has donated items to them to help them make it through, which I'm sure they're very grateful for. And this is not it. This is not the only conversation. But thank you, Fran, for putting it on the agenda.
May I speak on the topic, or is that not allowed?
It's technically not allowed, but go ahead.
Okay, great. I just wanted to have a few things I wanted to mention. First of all, sending these men to a faraway shelter is not going to happen. You're right, that nothing can be forced on them, but that doesn't mean they don't take help. They take help if it's local. They went to the shelter, although one of them got kicked out. If they were just given some place little here in their little local area, you know, like practically a heated dog shed would be better than what they had. That's why I cannot understand why you won't unlock the information kiosk, which is heated, and they could be in now, out of the 7-degree weather. I do not understanding this, what is going on. If it has to be cleaned up, so be it, you know? As a matter of fact, the other homeless guy who just recently, now he's living in like an RV instead of totally homeless, he offered to clean up after them. He's taking far more care of them than anyone else has. So I'd like to see something around here. I don't understand. I mean, for heaven's sakes, bring them here.
Charlie, I appreciate what you're saying,
Yep.
and you've made your point. Is there another point you would like to make?
Yes, Hudson River Housing has told me they have no funds, so that's not going anywhere. And
Okay. Do you have another point to make?
yes, these people are not of sound mind. You can't treat them as if they can be, you know, talked into something. that
There are
makes
laws
There are laws,
associated with that.
Yes. And I would just like to point out that the warming center last year happened because I'm not saying I did much of the work necessarily, but it happened because of my efforts. I talked to everyone in town until finally I got a meeting.
Charlie,
My
just
mother
to
disagree with
just
you.
to be
He
clear,
then opened
you
the
were
center.
part of the process, and we're very grateful
Right.
for that.
And there were others as well.
And the others helped. But it was not a village effort at the beginning. You came in and
I'm not going to
helped.
argue. I'm not going to argue with you on that, Charlie. I just am not going to argue. But thank you for your points. Okay. I think.
Can I add
Yes,
one thing?
of course.
I just want to echo some of the comments that everyone's been making, that the people that do volunteer and show up in this community for each other, it's important not to disparage them and disparage their efforts. A lot of people volunteered for the warming center, and a lot of people were part of that effort, and I think it's important, even if it didn't meet this individual that we're talking about, we shouldn't disparage those efforts, because I think one of the things that is really beautiful about Red Hook is how much everyone shows up for each other and how much everyone tries. And I think that's one of the things that people really care about and love in Red Hook.
I'd like
And I
to
think
see.
it's important to not, I'm sorry, Amy,
No,
but
no, go ahead.
I think it's important that when we voice our concerns, we don't insult people that are trying.
I'd like to see people assume that other people are trying, and that just because you don't know what every individual is doing doesn't mean that nothing is happening. And if you show up with curiosity, sometimes that works a lot better in the long run.
Again, this is not the end of this conversation. There are discussions happening. I know that there are groups that are meeting, looking for ways to both address the short term and also to look more long term. I really would like the county to look not just at our area, but also around the county to provide regional services. And so it is my hope that we can work with the county to come up with a longer term solution that would mean that each winter, when there are people who don't have a place to be when it's cold, that we have an option for that. And certainly it's disappointing that the option we thought we were going to have, we don't.
I just wanted to say two things about Code Blue, which is the state law that all law enforcement must give a ride to folks. Typically those requests are coming after hours. So if someone is getting that request or someone is calling on their behalf, they're not going to the shelters in Poughkeepsie because they don't do intake then. So the evaluation is made, generally speaking, by the officer, whether the individual needs to go to the emergency room or to the stabilization center, if they need any kind of medical or mental health supports. And then oftentimes there are vouchers for hotels that the county has contracted with. Now, none of those are in this area, but they are not all in the city of Poughkeepsie. I know that where I work as a public librarian now, in Eastern Dutchess, we are working with the county to get contracts with hotels in Eastern Dutchess, because we don't even have public transportation to get to them from Eastern Dutchess. So when I say we, I don't live there obviously, but I'm there a lot. So also having some information about how what is available functions is helpful. Because I agree, people don't want to go to the shelters in Poughkeepsie. That's not always the only option in an emergency situation.
Right. Okay, with that, let's move on to our treasurer's report. Thank you, Mary Beth.
Good evening. There are a lot of meaty issues and important issues so far, and
Can you pull the microphone towards you?
I really appreciate that. Mine is very droll and straightforward. So, the village's finances as of November 30th are as follows. The general fund holds $507,431.02. Our New York Class General Fund holds an additional $767,831.96. Our Water Fund holds $95,998.68. Our New York Class Water Fund holds an additional $152,150.81. Our Sewer Fund holds $71,150.80. Our Payroll Clearing Account holds $79,962.24. Our Hardscrabble Account holds $42.76. The Village Green Account holds $5,156.35. Our Health Insurance Deductible Account holds $10,337.97. As for our Reserve Savings Account, as of November 30th, the Fire Department holds $10,647.09. The Police Department holds $18,295.20. Our New York class USDA water reserve account holds $149,341.33. Our USDA water reserve account holds $7.93, which is just a holdover from additional interest when we move the account over, and that will be closed this month. Highway reserve account holds $610.91. The snow reserve account holds $3,515.38. Our tower reserve account holds $18,985.44. Unemployment reserve holds $7,530.76. Our court reserve holds $3,535.87. And our office reserve account holds $1,042.47. As for our monthly expenses for November 2025, the general fund had $168,224.75. The water fund had $122,035.66. Our payroll clearing account had $719.66, and our sewer fund had $29,649.49. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much. Need a motion to accept. I don't know why I have to ask that every time.
So
Thank you, Amy. A second
Second.
to accept the financial report. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, on to the department, on to other reports, starting with mine. Police report, in the month of November, 278 incidents, 144 in the village of Red Hook, 122 in the town of Red Hook, and 12 in the village of Tivoli. Water tower security checks was 101. Uniform traffic tickets, there were 60, 31 in the village of Red Hook, 25 in the town of Red Hook, and 4 in the village of Tivoli. Parking tickets, there were 8 in the village of Red Hook, none in the town of Red Hook, and 31 in the village of Tivoli. There were 6 arrests, 3 in the village of Red Hook and 3 in the town of Red Hook. I do not have a report from the fire company. And what do I have here? Buildings, water. That's it. Here. Okay. As for my other reports, financial audits, just wanted to update folks. Our auditors, RBT, are continuing with their fiscal year ending 2023 and 2024 audits. We hope to have all the documents and answers to them in the next couple of weeks. It has been a big lift, thanks to Treasurer Mary Beth, and also our Controller Michelle, and Jen, who's also had to pull out some things. And actually I do, and I probably said this last month, but I'm going to say it again. Jen in the clerk's office has done an enormous amount of work over the last several years to organize our documents in a way that makes them easily findable. And the time when that becomes the most obvious is when you have to find a whole lot of documents in a short period of time. And the difference between gathering documents for the 2022 audit and these two audits is frankly night and day. So just a huge thank you to Jen and her team for all of the work that she's done, and Mary Beth, to organize and just file in a logical manner what we have. It's one of those tasks that tends to be rather tedious, but if you don't do it, it's a mess, and if you do it, it comes around in these moments. So just a big thank you. Employee handbook, or the policy book. We have a variety of policies, etc., but they're not in a formal book, and there are quite a few that need to be updated. So over the next several months, our payroll clerk, Irene Holsapple, and I will add, and trustee Amy, will be meeting to review a proposed employee handbook or a policy book. We'll figure out sort of what we want to call it. It is a very long document. It's got a lot of legal things that we are required to have in there, but It is an important project, and I look forward to tackling it and getting to the end of it. And I just want to thank Amy for volunteering to be part of this process. Saltkill Watershed Community Advisory Council met on November 19th, 6:30 Village Hall. The application to Open Spaces Institute, or OSI, to be approved for fiscal sponsorship has been submitted. There was a discussion around funding sources and confirming the upfront money that would be required. Saltkill Watershed Community will be facilitating a kitchen table conversation for the town's comprehensive plan with a focus on water and water protection. It will be held on Thursday, January 22nd from 1 to 2:30 at the Red Hook Library. Sorry?
That's the middle of the day, which is
Yes,
obvious.
which is, and that was done well, yes, and what's part of the, one can always comment on sustainability and water, but the thought was this may get a different group of people, because all of the other kitchen table conversations have been in the evening. So that was one of the reasons why they chose the afternoon. Significant updates to the Saltkill Watershed website have been done by Amanda Sandor, who's a new member actually of this committee. She will also make a flyer for the comp plan discussion when all the details are confirmed. The big final event that was supposed to happen in conjunction with BARD in December will now happen probably the third week in February on an evening. The goal will be to present all the data available and also to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Saltkill Watershed Community. I will report when they make decisions as to when that'll be, and encourage you all to attend if you can. Dutchess Soil and Water may have funds available to support a Saltkill Watershed Community project. Ideas include further water testing. Because the Saltkill Watershed Community tested the water in Fisk Pond, that may, and some of the results came back where the water wasn't as clean as one might hope. There's a possibility that Dutchess Soil and Water might be able to fund some plantings into the pond that could potentially help with water absorption and the water, sort of managing the water levels, etc. Because it's all private property, that'll have to be worked out. But that I thought was sort of an exciting opportunity potential for the Fisk Pond. They also might support replanting banks to reduce erosion. We know we have erosion off the banks, off the north side of Red Hook Estates, so that might be a location where some planting might be done. There is a funding program, a septic system replacement fund that is available for those on individual septic systems. Information was shared to the Saltkill Watershed Community email list. It's also on our website, thank you. Sheila will investigate signing up for the program they're looking for additional grants, etc. So that's it on the Saltkill Watershed Community. It was a great meeting.
Where on the website? Just
Right on the landing page and community news, I
thank you.
Red Hook Library. The Red Hook Public Library had their November board meeting on November 20th. And Panda TV was there, and so there is a recording of that meeting on the Panda TV website. And so thank you to Panda for being there. So the policy committee reviewed the social media and communications policy. Recite Me was discussed, and I was able to remind the board that the last 2 years of Recite Me were due to a joint county grant with the village, and I can share that grant was actually written by Amy Smith. Preliminary 2026 budget was presented. Discussion included the expectation that there will be less county funding, a concern about foundation funding, and the need for a part-time children's programming staff person to go to full-time, and a health benefit increase of 18%. The treasurer, Grace Patchigan, reported that their current bookkeeper will no longer be supporting libraries in 2026, so she is interviewing possible replacements and hopes to have a proposal for the December meeting. The parking lot paving project has the final punch list items to complete, including closing out their building permit. The library had received a $5,000 grant for electrification of the back door to enable it to open automatically with a button The existing door, however, cannot accommodate electrification, so they'll need a new door. Alex is getting a second quote for this work. It may be well over budget. The patron reset between Red Hook, Tivoli, and other jurisdictions resulted in no major changes. And if you want more specifics in their board packet, it's on the library website under Board of Trustees. Public Spaces, Abrahams Park. The Public Spaces Committee met on Monday, November 17th. This overlapped with our village board meeting, so I was not there, but we have there's their meeting notes. Couple of important things to point out. One of the members, Betsy, had reached out. We had talked about the possibility of engaging BARD to see if they might have a student who would be interested in doing a student project looking at sort of the beginnings of a master plan for Abrahams Park. The thought was it could be a great project for a student because it's a real project, it's a real thing, and the expectation is that we would not end up with a fully professional master plan, and that really, but it would sort of give a beginnings of, Ross Adams, head of the architecture department, actually responded immediately and was very excited and had a particular student who he thought might be primed for this potential project. That student is a senior, so we will likely be, Betsy and Ash Bradley Ricard is the chair of this committee right now, and then Betsy Brower, who's on the committee. We met together just to sort of go over the parameters and what this might look like. There's no funding needed from the village's standpoint because it's an academic project, and we just see it as the upsides are huge and the downside is kind of zero. So Betsy is hoping to meet with the professor this week or next to see where we are and see how it might proceed. But I wanted to make you guys aware of that.
We can't get multiple students to compete against each other.
We actually, ironically, we talked about that.
Yeah.
But this particular student is a senior and I don't know what their senior project is, but the idea is that this would be their senior project.
Oh, neat.
I don't know that the professor is thinking that there are other students that might want to do that. We had sort of thought it would be, we'd maybe connect with a junior and then next year could be their senior project. So, but yeah, no, it doesn't appear that we've headed towards a grand competition, but it doesn't mean we couldn't go there.
It'd be fun to see it.
I'm reading.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I was just going to mention that, so we have talked about art exhibits in the park. And so another member reached out to the art department to talk about what that might look like. BARD has a graduate program for curatorial studies, and their final project is to curate an art exhibit. And I've always thought it would be fun if someone was interested in doing an outside sculpture exhibit, that they would have to, they'd have to go through the whole process and waivers and liability and structure and how do you get it there and all that sort of thing. And so Barbara had reached out to see what that might be, so that is something that is being looked into. The seed exchange, we've talked about the possibility of donating the seed exchange that has been brought together by the Public Spaces Initiative Committee over the last couple of years. It is located at the community center, and so the discussion was perhaps seeing if the community center would just take it over and we would donate it to them. Grants, we continue to look for grants.
This is my question.
Yes, go ahead.
The parking lot, that is behind Abrams Park?
The plan, so Abrahams Park is a 7.2 acre parcel that actually comes out to Linden Avenue. So the idea is if we were going to do a parking lot, it would be on Linden Avenue.
So there is a, I should probably talk to them because there's 2 grants that
Awesome.
could be used for that, given the trails.
I will follow up on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's the relevant part of that. I did the library. Climate Smart. Climate Smart Task Force, actually, we didn't meet in November. At our last meeting, we had the presentation from Cornell Cooperative Extension, and so our next steps are to take that information, look at their recommendations, and lay out a plan forward to secure bronze certification. Community engagement, I just wanted to let you know sort of where I've been. November 15th was a busy day in the village. Roger Lauren had his Eagle Scout Court of Honor. He is my neighbor, and he is just a charming,
Great guy.
wonderful young man. So it really was an honor and a privilege to be able to present him with a proclamation of achievement. I did stop by local business Bliss. They had their grand opening for their evening hours, offering cocktails and a tapas menu. And then I attended the Rotary Citizen of the Year event honoring Lisa Murray and Maria Chiavelli. One of the primary things the two of them have done for decades is to host a Red Hook High School prom after party. They were inspired, or motivated, I should say, by the death of several young students after a prom in a drunk driving accident, and it was horrific. It was years ago. I think maybe 30 years ago plus, and I think it was Lisa who just really wanted to give the kids an alternative way to keep the evening going. There are, I've of course not been, but they have activities, they have prizes, they do it at Bard, so they have lifeguards at the pool. It's really been quite the thing, and it's one of those things. We have no idea how many lives they saved, and so it really was a special evening to honor them. Monday, November 17th, I was invited by the Rhinebeck Rotary to share with them what's happening in the village of Red Hook. It was a great opportunity to do that and also to foster the connection between Rhinebeck and Red Hook. Tuesday, November 18th, the Red Hook Chamber of Commerce hosted a Meet the Mayor evening at Bliss, where I was able to share with this group all that's happening in the village. It was a great opportunity to connect with some of the local business owners and answer questions and hear ideas, and thank you to the Deputy Mayor who also attended. And then November 20th, I joined Erin Kanan, who is Vice President for Civic Engagement at Bard College, on her new Action Now podcast. We discussed major issues and projects in the village and policy solutions and how people can get involved. She also asked how I got my path to get here, which is somewhat convoluted. And I have not heard whether, I don't think the podcast is out yet, so if you're interested, at some point we can share that. And then November 20th, I joined Bill Moore and 3 others on a judging panel at the VFW for Voices for Democracy. Voices for Democracy. It is a program where our 9th through 12th grade students submit a recorded essay. The 2025-26 theme is How Are You Showing Patriotism and Support for Our Country? We reviewed and scored 9 submissions from the Red Hook VFW region. I have done that for several years, and it's really a wonderful opportunity to do that. Okay, I have also the sewer department. Now, I see that our sewer operator might be on screen here, so he can give a little more detail, but let me just give a basic background.
Sewer report is what you took out. It's in the front.
It's right here. Oh, yes, no, understood.
That's sewer, not water.
Got it. We have, in general, we did meet with Steve Grimm of USDA Rural Water. I'll just mention that that's a federal program that is provided to rural municipalities, complementary to the municipality. So it's paid for by federal dollars and not by local village dollars to help rural municipalities manage their infrastructure, both water and sewer. Steve Grimm's focus is on sewer. We discussed operations and developing an asset management plan. We also included a discussion on an asset inventory sheet, a vulnerability assessment plan, emergency response plan, cybersecurity and annual certification, incident response plan, rate affordability test. So these are all items that he has some templates for, and he will be sharing those with us so that we have that as a basis to start, to use those to move forward with some of those plans, making them formal. We did receive one odor complaint tied to the wastewater treatment plant in the month of November. It was related to an odor control belt that snapped or broke. It was replaced once the complaint came in. The belts were replaced within the hour, and the odor issue was resolved. So again, we thank everyone who calls in and gives us that information. And prior to that, the last wastewater treatment plant odor complaint was received in early May. And so, Les, this is probably the time for you to unmute. I'm just going to say the new plant is operating smoothly at this time. It has been assessed that the old plant needs some additional aeration in its anoxic tank. I think I got that right. Material is purchased to make those adjustments. Les, do you have anything else you want to add? We might take that as a no. All right, well, let's hop in if you're paying attention. And then just to mention for the water, we reviewed operations at the wastewater treatment plant. It's running smoothly. Chlorine residuals are good. We do need to consider an auto-flushing hydrant in the eastern area of Route 199. Current estimate for that cost is about $5,000, so that's something that we'll be reviewing. Did want to mention the installation of the check valve and the new injection point in the water treatment plant will be a winter project for the DPW. Les?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm not quite as familiar with Zoom as I am with Teams. Figure out how to unmute myself.
Do you have anything you want to add as it relates to sewer or water operations?
No, not currently at this time. You know, things are going as expected. I believe, you know, of course we're always going to have, you know, swings that go one way or the other. And we've been really proactive about, you know, addressing any issues that arise. So I think that, you know, I'm fairly happy with how things are going. So we've had good success with what we call MCRT, or the mean cell residence time, which is, to give everybody an idea, that's the average time that the biological bug stays within the system. And since we've been controlling that, you know, a lot of good things are happening as planned.
Great. Thank you. And just to clarify, I'm just looking at the report. The average daily gallons per day for the new plant is 32,000. And of course,
that would be correct.
And the old plant is 7,000.
Correct. Both of those are subject to the MCRT. So think of a glass and that you have ice in, and when you have a lot of biology, that's like having a lot of ice. So you can't put as much water in it. So it's kind of the same idea, where we're lowering the biology, maintaining the plant, making it more efficient. And as we're doing that, we are trying to increase the flow rate so that the plant is able to handle a larger amount of flow.
Great. Okay, with that, I will, does anybody have any questions at this point on the sewer or water? While we have less? All right, we'll take that as a good sign. No questions, Les. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you being here.
No worries.
Thank you, Les.
All right. Okay, I think that's it for me. Yes, so we're on to Deputy Mayor Caraval.
I have to start my reports with a correction. I have at the top the wrong date. I use the same format every time I write it. So it is December 8th, 2025, not November 17th. Okay, so Red Hook Together meets every first Thursday of the month. The December 4th meeting was held at Olin Hall at Bard. Participants were prompted by RHPL's Alex Geller to offer topics, and then the group was split into groups that would strategically plan on those prompts. We were not allowed to visit both groups. One prompt was transitional housing and the other was community festivals and events. The groups are now tasked to take next steps on these issues after defining what the ideas to be addressed were. Newly named anchor events proposed that festival planners should coordinate with Red Hook Together to change dates to better accommodate schedules. They also identified communication as an issue and lamented that there wasn't a central calendar. There weren't any trolleys for events to transport festival goers around the village. And event organizers do not promote each other's events. They also wanted to find out how to engage Tivoli. There was no mention of the village role in anchor events mentioned. I wrote mentioned twice, I apologize. You can see how I feel about that. The second group, which I was allowed to attend, discussed short and long-term solutions for housing. We discussed last year's overnight warming shelter organized with private donations that covered bedding and supplies, and a Hudson River housing staffer for evening shifts, donate space and volunteer provided food drop-offs and evening early morning shift. I think I misspoke when I said the Methodist Church. It was the Episcopal Church that did the
Christ Church.
Yeah, and I said it and then I wanted to correct it for the record. Because Linda was part of the Human Relations Committee and was very active in coordinating that, so it was very great. Okay. Including challenges ahead for replicating the shelter this year. Also discussed were the different types of shelter options, intimate partner violence shelters, teen shelters, group homes, etc., as well as other models, and what needs we have here in the Northern Dutchess region. Legislator Chris Munn has a proposal to the legislature, not yet adopted or funded, to have the municipal investment grants for decentralized shelters that would be available to municipalities. McKeon shared that there's a New York State town law that allows a town to spend $10,000 on mental health, which I did not know was there are different things in the state constitution, which is what the different municipalities are allowed to spend their monies on. So we're all restricted to what our scope is. So that's why that is an interesting note. That means that the Dutchess County receives New York State taxpayer funding to provide social services within its, for those who don't know, Dutchess County is our New York State Local Department's Social Services District. That means that the Dutchess County receives New York State taxpayer funding to provide social services within its boundaries. Many of those social services are located around and in the Poughkeepsie area. I shared that I found a training session called Navigating the System Housing and Temporary Assistance Programs offered annually by the county. It's incredibly helpful for understanding what options currently exist and how much has changed due to COVID and since. And that's a training that is specifically for people service providers and what's the word for it, Amy?
It's for
caseworkers.
It's for direct service providers.
Yeah.
So people who directly take care of. I attended this a while back.
Isn't that the program that you and I went to?
Yes, and we were invited because of the meeting that we had here with Hudson River Housing and the county, and they thought that because we were asking so many questions, they said, come on down.
Helpful.
Yeah, normally
it was.
Yeah, it really helped us understand the whole system and the challenges and how we fit into it. And it was, Anyway, also of note, Community Action Partnership, which the Village of Red Hook contributes towards, is moving forward with plans to close its Red Hook office.
Just a caveat there, I believe that they are negotiating with the purchasers of their building to perhaps stay for 6 months.
6 months,
And that they may be looking for an office space in Red Hook to continue their services. But,
That would be amazing.
yeah, but that is the latest that I heard.
And that was post the...
I was told that by the town supervisor, who is also on the board of Community Action Partnership, yesterday. He told me that yesterday.
Yeah, so that is after when I heard him say the other thing, so yours is the most recent.
Okay.
Okay, Town of Red Hook Comprehensive Plan. The town committee meets monthly from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. on the fourth Tuesday at Town Hall. The town hosted a comprehensive plan public workshop on Tuesday, November 25th. Nope, that's not right. Sorry. Discussion, I was talking about the meeting that we had, not the public workshop. A discussion focused on upcoming kitchen table discussions, outreach, and public awareness process. Kitchen tables are social events you can host in your own social circle to talk through the comprehensive plan goals. Any responses collected will help determine the goals and priorities in the proposed town's comprehensive plan. If you're interested in hosting your own kitchen table, email comprehensiveplan@redhookny.gov. I've also included links to some of the resources and web pages about the town's process. There's a website to learn more about the process. There's a document called Key Facts. There's an explanation of what a comprehensive plan is, and then there's still the link to the online survey. You can see it is printed in your, it was a loose piece in your packet, but there's an interesting fact sheet about Red Hook that is really, it was given out to people when they went to that public workshop.
About the town.
About the town, yes, but it's helpful.
Which includes this one.
Yes, it's helpful when we have conversations about, you know, to know
What we're doing.
yeah, as a community on a whole, because we are part of the town, even though we decide things only on the village level.
Though I'll just take the opportunity to highlight what you had mentioned to me, was the public school enrollment, which is not unique to the town. School enrollment is actually at a 30-year low? So the public school, frankly, could use some more kids.
Yeah. And one of the things that's interesting about that is when we think about budgets, we think more kids would actually put more taxpayer burden, but we actually get more state aid for the more kids we have. And we have a set amount of facilities and buildings. So actually, if we get a few more kids, it helps the school budget and it relieves the local taxpayer, which seems counterintuitive, but that's a situation we are in right now, and a lot of communities in the Hudson Valley are going through the same issue.
If I may,
Yeah.
a friend of mine used to say state aid is just the other pocket.
Okay.
But the state aid is gonna go somewhere, so we may as well get our fair share.
Always cherry, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, it's all taxpayer money, but it puts more of the emphasis on the local taxpayer. So you can take that as you will. Okay, so the town of Red Hook Community Preservation Fund, the new balance was just released today, so this is still the same balance that was available last month, but I will update it for the next report. Village of Red Hook Communications, I continue to work with Tivoli on their trash and recycling flyers and calendar and finish customizing those designs. I'm also beginning to work on the village's calendar and considering if I can use a smaller format for trash pickup days. And Jen reminded me again today that the deadline is
coming up.
Is now, so I'm doing it this week, promise. Village and zoning review. On the morning of Monday, November 24th at 9:30 a.m., the mayor and I met with the planning consultant Bonnie Franson and the village's planning lawyer Victoria Paladaro to discuss the draft law and listen to their professional recommendations to questions posed by trustee Ugo's written comments. It was agreed that we'd move forward with setting a public hearing for the planning study. Since the study will act as amendment to the comprehensive plan, it requires 2 separate hearings. We also discussed the idea of working at a later time with a dedicated purpose and budget to fully re-examine all the existing use definitions and considering if updating uses to more form-based definitions was appropriate, as some of the uses seem unnecessarily specific, dated, and/or seem to overlap each other. We discussed at length the difference between formula businesses as defined in the code amendment, fast food as defined in our code, and restaurants as defined in our code. The list of adopted definitions, and those are ones that exist currently, you can visit them on the village website at redhookvillage.gov. You navigate to the government tab, click on a sidebar, key information, select the village code link, and find chapter 200-5. There's also a live link in my report, but I doubt anyone's going to go that way. The planning, zoning, and building department. So during the month of November 2025, there were 12 building permits issued. There was 1 certificate of occupancy issued. There were 11 certificates of compliance issued and 2 multiple searches. There were 0 orders to remedy, stop work orders, do not occupy notices, court appearances, and complaints. There were 2 fire inspections, one at 65 to 67 East Market Street, and the second was at 7481 to 7483 on South during the November 13th, 2025 meeting, the site plan approval was granted to Hugh Holdings of Dutchess County LLC for the property located at Firehouse Lane. A minor subdivision approval was granted to 15 Maisland Road. Site plan and public hearing for 87 East Market Street was tabled to the November 13th planning board meeting. And the site plan for the 31 East Market Street.
That must be a misprint, because it was the November 13th meeting, so it would have been tabled to the next meeting, would be my guess.
Okay. I'll
You can check with Laura, but
I'll check. I can.
Both that one and the next one,
Yeah, it might be
it makes sense that it was tabled to the December meeting.
both of us forgetting to update the dates.
Yeah.
November 20th, 2025 meeting for the Zoning Board of Appeals. The area variance application for 37 East Market Street was tabled to the December 18th, 2025 CBA meeting. A public hearing was scheduled. And then for the month of November, the total amount of fees collected was $2,160. And that is it.
Great, thank you very much. On to trustee Uku.
Good evening. Here, this month's cost and expenses, please refer to the attached resource recovery data report, which is on the first page. If you would just make that the second page, I'll have that better for you next month, Tim. So I thought I'd give an explanation of some of the values you see in here. So where for our revenue for the month was $1,813. And it should explain the tags sold in that line. There is tag sales from our village tags, from the Red Hook Public Library, and Taste Buds. So that's the collected amount there. I also
And Village Hall?
Yes, that was my first.
Gotcha,
So us
sorry.
here, Village Hall, Red Hook Library, and Taste Buds.
Sorry, thank you.
That's okay. It's okay. So I also added in a field for you to see a Tivoli service contract, fees associated with the Tivoli service contract, although per earlier conversation that amount may be changing. So this is $682.50 a week. Total there, I also have a year-to-date amount, so if you're ever interested in knowing how far how things are going with that program, there's that amount there for you. Garbage are expenses related to garbage, fuel surcharges, and rental. For our garbage disposition is $2,879. So there's that. There's also tonnage. We had $2.83 in contaminated recycling, which I always feel compelled to call out. I will.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
We have now the new mattress fee. We collect different fees for things, but Tivoli, are we gonna reflect that in this? I know that's like, complicates everything, but does it make sense for us
You
to?
mean that you're talking about the tag revenue?
Yes. Being that we're.
Is it in there? It's in there, isn't it?
No, not the Tivoli tax, they
No,
deal
with
with
their
their own tax.
contract, yeah, they deal with their own.
Oh, but do we have when people get like a
She
bulk
means
item
bulk,
or a mattress?
it's in the tax sales. It's just,
Oh.
it's in general tax sales.
Okay, got it. Now I understand.
It's not significant.
Okay.
It's like maybe a high month is $100.
Okay, that's interesting.
I mean, maybe May will be a bigger month because there'll be folks,
Moving out and-
leaving college and
Yeah.
Yes.
moving out.
They're usually not the buyers.
Right, well, true, understood. But, yeah, I mean, it's a service we offer, it's not one that's taken up very often.
Well, I mean, it's a new service. We might not be getting it out there that it's something, you know. We send it to the water bill, people, but maybe other people don't even know. There's certainly a lot of free furniture out that's not getting picked up, right?
True.
Just like, yeah.
And there's a wing chair on the corner near where I live.
Yeah, there was like a
Getting so
bed that was in front of a house for a while, and finally I saw the DPW guys, you know, just pick it up. Yeah, anyway, never mind. That was, sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. I invite conversation on the exotic topic that is waste management. Okay, so yes, moving on since that's the spreadsheet. So This is trash and recycling must be out before 5 a.m. on Mondays. All of this information is available online. Our recycling pickup alternates between yellow and blue. Please check out Deputy Mayor Caravel's very helpful resource and waste collection guide. I find it amazing. It comes in the with your water bill. Please make sure you have a copy. You may also contact the clerk to purchase tags for any village disposal services, 845-758-1081, info@redhookvillage.gov, or in person Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Food waste drop-off. Residents are welcome to join the village's food waste collection program, made possible in part by a composting grant from Dutchess County. To sign up, please contact the clerk or visit redhookvillage.gov/compost. Brush and yard waste pickup is concluded for the season. Scrap metal program this month, we received 0 in scrap metal income. Since the program's inception in September 2007, donations have yielded a total of $58,431.44. Proceeds from the program go towards the purchase of tools and equipment for the DPW. Residents and businesses interested in donating scrap metal may contact the village clerk's office to schedule a pickup. I just remembered I have one to schedule myself. Snow removal and seasonal parking. No all-night street parking is permitted in the village from November 1st to March 31st. Vehicles parked on the streets between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. may be ticketed and towed at the owner's expense. Property owners are reminded to remove athletic equipment, garbage receptacles, and any other temporary obstacles from the sides of streets to prevent their damage during snow removal operations. And as we discussed earlier, the owner and/or occupant of every building or lot in the village with an adjoining sidewalk is required to remove snow and ice within 24 hours of the end of a snowstorm. And so, and we did have the vote earlier about the cost to have to remove uncleared snow and ice. So please be aware that that is due. Street light complaints and potholes. Please take note that you can report either on the village website. We have resources for you to report any issues with village roads or street light complaints. Form an appreciation or giving Jake his flowers, or as I said last month, this is really giving the mayor her flowers. Thank you, Jake and Team DPW, for conducting the magical transformation of, I said here, our leaf truck into snowplow, but that technically is not what happens. We have, it's one truck that deals with garbage and leaves, and then we have, and now leaves are over, so it's back to just being a garbage truck. And we have a snowplow, although I don't know why, it's been how many years since I went to high school, I don't know why I spelled plow the way I did, but blame British
It's a
education
talented
for
truck, maybe it could be a plow.
It could be a plow, yes, well, is it, oh, okay, so.
That's the kind of plow that makes. Yeah.
So, okay, so if we were like in the Victorian era, then
Or
it would be-
up Cookingham.
Oh, cooking, oh man, yeah.
Planting trees,
If
you
I-
could do a road.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
It's a talented truck.
I mean, I think Jake would be really impressed if you get that vacuum to vacuum out holes like that.
Yeah, well, you know,
anyone could do it,
ever the
maybe Jake.
optimist. Okay, well, our roads were clear mere moments after the first snowstorm of the season, which was magical to me, and residents took notice. I did hear several comments, so that's really great. Thank you, DPW.
And I will just add, the other positive of our DPW foreman is he thinks ahead so that the equipment, when it comes out and is being used, frankly, for the first time of the season, it all works.
Yeah.
That's not true of every municipality, so that is a testament to Jake thinking ahead and making sure everything's working.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, on to Village Green. Now, I don't know, it's the food waste. My food waste report is not here. Jen, I'm missing that one. I can read it out, I have it online. Yeah, I'll read it out, don't worry. Okay, for Village Green though, Village Green Chair Tara Barrett submitted the village's 2025 application for a Tree City USA membership renewal on 26th of November. Applicants are required to show proof of the following: an active tree board, a tree care ordinance, which we have. Ours is dated the 7th of October 2002, much longer ago than that. 2002, a community forestry program with an annual budget of at least $2 per capita. We have 20, just over 20. An Arbor Day observance and proclamation. We did have one, as you can see in the photo, in April. A very beautiful Arbor Day indeed. Thanks again to former trustee and Village Green liaison Kim Bradley Ricard for keeping meticulous records, without which our submission would not have been possible. I said it then and I'll say it again. Reminders, I've set up a village street tree request form. Ask your clerk or friendly neighborhood liaison if a complimentary street tree is right for you. The form can be currently accessed on the agenda page for this meeting on the village website, soon to be rolled out to the Village Green committee page itself on the website. If you have a little free time and would like to meet fun neighbors while beautifying where you live, the Village Green warmly welcomes you. All current terms end on the 31st of December and all committee members seek reappointment.
To that end,
Yeah.
would you send me an email with the names of everyone?
Okay.
And then I can create
Perfect.
a resolution to recommend that appointment.
I will absolutely do that, thank you. Okay, now I just have to quickly pull it up on my,
I just did if you want to read off.
oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
off
sorry.
the screen,
It-
okay.
It made the agenda, just not,
Okay.
not the
the
paper.
printing,
Maybe I was
Sorry.
thinking, conserve some trees and
Oh, that's
not
good,
compost it. so
that's good, that's good.
It will
It
make
saves,
the
yeah,
amount
because
of it.
it's gonna be composted, so yeah. Village residents are invited to sign up to the Village Food Waste Collection Program at redhookvillage.gov/compost in person or by phone, email to the clerk. I made a slight change to Deputy Mayor Caravel's design for the individual countertop pails, which are here. I'm very proud to say that they are here. And so those will be going on very shortly. Our hauler, Ray Silverman of Laughing Fox Farm, has provided our latest collection data. Excuse me here while I read the rest of that. Why is it not moving? Move. Oh, I don't use PC. I don't speak PC anymore.
Just scroll it up.
Just scroll? It's not scrolling.
Sometimes if you press the button, will that work for you? No, wait, it's stuck.
It doesn't
It's
like
not a
me.
touch screen.
It's, okay,
Go
it
to
is
the-
a
go to
touch
the
screen,
right.
but, oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
okay.
It's just being sensitive. Okay, anyway, the total estimated volume diverted from landfill since this program's inception on September 1st is approximately 1,163 pounds. As part of our larger plan to have all program materials available in Spanish, our hauler has also installed bilingual collection bins advising no trash, food scraps only, or no basura, solo restos de comida. Thank you, Victoria at Red Hook Public Library for Spanish as a second language, which I am taking now, so you can enjoy my Spanish rendition. Next up,
Would that not be the third language?
Ha! It was funny that, yeah, more than third, but yeah, anyway.
Another language, how about?
Yeah, another language, that's good. Yes, so there will be the volunteers in the building to prepare all of the countertop pails for distribution, and you can register now and get yours in time for the holidays.
Put under the tree.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to update you all.
I'm up. Great, yes, you're up, Amy.
Okay. So water use, in November, Village of Red Hook treated a little over 6.5 million gallons for an average of nearly 22,000 gallons per day. The high was 273,300 gallons on November 5th, and the low was 206,800 gallons on November 11th, just to give people an idea of the range. Average daily chlorine residuals in those gallons for November was 1.4 milligrams per liter, with a high of 2.11 on November 7th and a low of 0.68 on November 22nd. As usual, 3 locations were tested on November 13th. Well, as usual, 3 locations were tested on November 13th, and all samples were negative for E. coli and coliform.
And Amy, I should,
Yes.
this will remind me to send you, we have a chart that shows each month's use. So actually 6.5 million gallons is on the low side,
I know.
which is okay.
I get that.
Oh, you get that?
I
Okay,
do,
well,
yeah.
I'll show you what I'm talking
keep
about.
them, anyway, yeah. I should have given you a comparison month to month, but yeah, it was low, it made me wonder. Are people not bathing? 'Cause it's cold.
We're trying desperately to reduce the leaks
Yeah, no, I know.
and the differential between the amount that we treat and the amount that we measure is not as close as it should be. So we're trying to narrow that gap. So frankly, having a little less.
Oh, no,
And
it's
it's also
good. I was
November,
joking
and
about
it's
taking
likely
baths.
that, you know, people's gardens are closed down and
Pools and so on.
pools are closed and things like that.
So events, village tree lighting event by the Chamber of Commerce was a fun, if chilly time. Chamber did a great job bringing businesses and residents together. Our HPD and the Village Department of Public Works employees made the event both more fun and safer by closing the block across from the tree. I encourage everyone to come out for the next community event in the village, will be the lighting of the menorah at the top of the municipal parking lot with Rabbi Hecht from Duchess Chabad, Rhinebeck Jewish Center.
Can I just add that we also will have the Parade of Lights on the prior Saturday?
Right, that's
December
true, that'll be
13th.
before the next as well, right. I was thinking that it was after, but we're being interested.
May I ask about the waiver that we were going to receive?
Yes, I have the waiver, and I didn't include it here, but I'm happy to send it to you if you'd like.
Only, yeah, okay.
It went through
yes.
multiple draft versions.
And it indemnifies the village.
Yeah, we are held harmless.
Thank you.
Mhm.
What's the date of the party of lights?
Saturday.
December 13th.
Yeah, December 13th. Oh, I've got the dates. Yeah. Okay, so don't miss these exciting events. Grants, we are waiting to hear back from Hudson River Valley Greenway Compact Grant. It should be on or about December 11 is what they told me, so
December 11th?
yes.
Oh, I thought we were hearing in February for some reason.
Nope, apparently not.
Oh, that's exciting, hopefully.
Well, they said on or about, so it's
Okay.
still the state, but. I've been researching smaller grants to supplement the village's in-kind match for the Greenway Compact, including sources the village could potentially use to pay for planting, signs, and lighting. As the reminder, the Greenway Compact grant is going towards creating a pedestrian experience improvement plan and the initial steps to make those changes. School speed zone, in fact, we can update this because I received the letter from the county today. And so the county has no objection. That was our last hurdle before the state. So we can now submit to the state for the new school speed zone. We have the district's support and the county's support, and the only thing left is the state. Well, and the villages, obviously.
Can we
Yeah.
get a copy of that, put into our boxes, copy of that letter?
What letter? Oh, the letter from the,
County.
from the county?
From Vulcan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was I copied on it? I don't remember.
No, they just sent it to me this morning.
Just
It
voted?
literally just says, the county has no
Support.
objection to reducing the speed limit on Linden Avenue in this range, which is basically from Maysland to 199. There's nothing more to it. But I can certainly share it. And as a reminder, the school speed zone establishment is the first step for a plan towards getting a village-wide speed limit reduction. And then finally, since our last meeting, I've worked with the deputy mayor on handouts about social service resources. This was a project that we did during COVID, and so they are being updated and checked. And then I've started some new work with the mayor to help with revisions and development of personnel policies and procedures. The reason that I volunteered for this is not that I am a glutton for punishment, but it is in fact that this is something that I have a lot of experience with developing.
And you're a glutton for punishment.
Okay, maybe. Finally, the utility billing report. Bills issued in November, $582.52. Penalties, finance charges issued, $1,506.04. Payments received, $30,796.82. And outstanding owed as of December 1st, $23,299.26. Thank you, Jen.
Okay.
That ends my report.
That is it for reports. I do not have a budget adjustment for this evening. I do need a motion to approve vouchers after audit.
So moved?
I heard a movement and a second on the left side.
Sure.
Sorry. Find out who goes first.
Be the second.
Were there any comments or questions related to the vouchers? Any vouchers anybody wanted to, felt should be pulled out?
The one thing, the Janelli service fee, was that like a normal, like they were just coming to do a routine service, or was there an issue that happened? Do you know? Does anyone know?
The elect Janelli.
Yes, I know, and I meant to ask that question. That was a $75 fee. I think it was, they came and they did some sort of a service check,
Okay.
and I will follow
I
up
think
and
it
find
has
it.
to do with the back door never working.
I think,
Or
It-
problematic.
I think it was something that they came to double check that it was,
Hope that gets back. Great.
I think, is it, do you still find a problem? I don't find a problem.
There was times that if you had to push to pull.
Push to pull.
And they said that's
The way it is.
it happens all the time. So it's a push
So
to pull
when
maybe
you're,
or deal.
when you swipe your fob,
It's got nothing to do with the fob, it has to do with.
no, I know that, but when you swipe your fob and you pull and it doesn't open, push in and then pull out.
It's got nothing to do with the fobs, it has to do with the public when it's unlocked.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've never, well, maybe I don't distinguish, I think I don't distinguish.
You don't have a buzz box.
I don't have a bus box. That is also very true. So that would
no
be,
call for service.
it would have been that service.
Yeah,
It would
yeah,
have
that
been
makes
service call.
sense.
Check that out.
Okay, thank you.
It was,
I knew there was something.
that's a good price for a service call, I have to say.
Yeah.
Would you like to make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
We'll take Tony's
Wait,
motion to
wait,
adjourn.
I need a vote on the vouchers? Yeah.
Oh, yes,
All
sorry.
in favor
So
of
would you,
paying?
well, we have,
Yes, aye.
all in favor of approving the vouchers after audit?
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. And now I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll take a motion.
Tony makes the motion,
I'll
second?
Can I
second.
ask a question before we?
Yes.
Just 2 seconds, I promise. So I just had a question about the zoning study and this zoning map
Uh-huh.
that I would just like clarification. Is this something that is due for an update, or the area shown in here is different from the area we have in this zoning map?
The zoning map is the whole.
It shouldn't be. What do you mean by that? Are you talking about the area on the cover,
When Bonnie
Page
did her
there?
presentation, she talked about how they included stuff that was around it to understand the relationship
I see.
of one, so like when they talk about how these want to be, they don't want those to be commercial businesses. It's not part of the zoning changes,
Okay, great.
but they do reference.
Just as a, no, this is exactly the
Yeah.
answer. I'm getting. Thank you so much.
Great.
Because
good
I was,
question.
yeah, I was unsure whether are we discussing also the west side, in relation to the, thank you. That was-
Great. Good question. So we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any other questions before
Was
we?
my second? I'm sorry.
I think
I
it was-
seconded.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Good stuff. Our next meeting is the workshop on December 22nd.